wrong parts, cutting metal, starting fires, and a bad decision.
Sometimes things just don't go the way you think they're gonna go. I just didn't think of that. You gotta adapt and overcome, so I'm adapting and overcoming.
All this and more coming up.
Hi, everybody! Sorry about that. I sounded like Barney from The Simpsons. Anyway, hi, everybody. Before I go any farther, anyway, before I go any more progress on this bed for the Dakota, I have to get my compressor done. Like I said in the previous video, I have to get this thing built. And I've been spending some time cleaning up the compressor portion. So this is a Puma. It's obviously the 3-piston. This did have just a one big single bore. So this should be a lot more efficient. It should be quieter. And this is a 7 horsepower, 60 gallon. And so now I have to go ahead and mock up this plate. I've already tapped this end to retrieve, it's right here. To receive, I should say, this portion right here. Then I'm gonna have to mock up this and bend this tube. It's gonna go right here. I'll show you all that later. But yeah, and I'm gonna have to put a flare on it, and the orientation is gonna be different because I don't know what happened to the valve. This is a one-way valve so that the air doesn't backfeed into the tank. It goes one way and not the other. You need this. Anyway, as you can see, it's a 90 instead of straight. So anyway, it's gonna have a curve on it, and I think I'll utilize this curve. And it shouldn't be too hard. It's just gonna be a lot of mocking up. And I got the belts, they're A4, I think they are, A48s. And they're actually like a 52-inch belt. So it's gonna be a lot of mocking up and drilling, and then I'm gonna have to wire this thing. I think I have my 220 still running that way. And I got my pulley from Amazon that I ordered because obviously this was a single pulley that was on here. And I did have this on here, it looks pretty good. And it's just a matter of drilling these holes and getting this pulled and for the belts to be taut and the tolerance the way it should be with the belt. Let's get to work. Okay, I've got this, I think, set up right where I want it. I'm gonna go ahead and measure from here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna measure from here to here on both sides, just to make sure that this is straight and parallel and even to the plate. I can see that this is over a little bit more this way. It's a little crooked, so, but it's right about where I want it. But I wanna make sure the deflection of this, see how this is loose? And I have no way to go ahead and tighten that before I drill. I mean, I can like clamp this down before I go ahead and drill holes for this. And I don't want to put, you know, holes like this. I can go ahead and do that, but I was thinking long and hard about this. I just want holes that I can drill and have it set to where the belt, all I have to do is put the belt on. So what I'm gonna do is get my punches, my center punches, mark them, and then I'm just gonna move it over the drill hole over just, I don't know, like a couple millimeters or so. That way, when I do drill it, it's gonna have the tension I want. It's gonna be a gamble, but I think it's gonna work out better that way. And everything, here's my outlet. This kind of lined up perfectly. I was thinking it was gonna end up on the other side. And then this guy, what I'll end up doing is drilling a hole through here probably. Or I suppose I could feed it right through here. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll feed it right through there. And it's gonna aim right on the other side. So that's perfect. And I already tapped a hole. I tapped both, a male and female. I had to tap this thread and the thread on that side because they were both different. Because this came from a different compressor. I don't know where the valve for this thing went. I have no clue where it went. But anyway, and so the cool thing about this pulley is I can adjust this back and forth. And then there's on the keyway here, and then there's these Allen keys. There's two. I can go ahead and adjust that and torque this down. So it looks pretty parallel. This is the old belt. Before I get this done, I actually need to use the new belts because this could be stretched. And I want to use the new belts to make sure that this is all correct. Alrighty, I think I've got this, well, not I think, I know I've got this right where I want it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my transfer punch set right here. These guys right here. And as you can see, I'm gonna go ahead and find the size hole, and then it's got this center punch here. And that's gonna center me out on the holes here. Let's find the size we need. This might be a little too big. Yeah, it's too big. Let's try this guy. What size do we have here? Should be a size stamped on here, but all right, let's check it anyway. That's pretty good right there. But I'm not real it's kind of sloppy, so let's go to the next size up. Come on. I'm gonna try the next one up. Try this one. All right, so we're gonna go back to that other one. That's the guy we need. That's the one right there. All right. So I think because this is heavy enough, I'm gonna be able to whack this good enough with a hammer, and I'm not gonna, you know, jolt this and move this around. Then I'll be able to take this off, you know, remove it, and then put 4 more indicators on there, and that's the holes I'll go ahead and drill. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. All right, before I go ahead and take this off of here and check those marks that I made, I'm gonna do one more check with the new belts just to make sure that this is where I wanna be, you know, with the tension, and then sort of guess how much more back I wanna put this, and sort of pretty much guess where I'm gonna make my holes. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Okay, I think it's a good thing I checked this with the new belts because the old one is stretched, and having dual belts on here, I think where I have the holes estimated, it might be like too tight or just right. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill the holes right where I have it and just hope and pray that it's gonna be okay where it is. I guess I could always re-drill it. We'll see what happens. I'm just gonna commit to it and go ahead and drill it. Let's just do it. All right, let's take a look at some bolt choices here. I've got these, I don't know, these swing set looking ones. I don't really want to use these. This is what I was worried about. Too big. And let's check the swing set bolt. These fit. I don't want to have to drill this cast iron. It's not going to be too, these are much nicer though. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and just use these. They're longer, and it's going to just save me some time having to drill this out and probably destroy a drill bit. There's my indicator there, and the other one's floating around here somewhere, right there. It's like right on that hole, and the other ones are on here somewhere. I'll find them. But all right, let's get drilling.
I know what you're thinking, and you're kind of right. It's taken them an awful long time to drill 4 holes. Well, I'm doing a technique here known as step drilling. Start out with a small bit, then work your way up. I think I do this about 4 times. Why? What's the point of that? Well, it saves from heat, and rather than using a big drill bit, trying to hog away all that metal, you step it up, save your drill bits. This guy right here is known as a step drill bit, sometimes referred to as a Christmas tree bit. Okay, back to some killer metal.
awesome. Actually, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. The holes were super accurate. I was worried about, you know, this floating around and having play in it, or I was worried about these not being like centered and, you know, having to like egg them out so that I would have to. The only one that I had to was this one. I had to like over drill this because of where it was in orientation to that pre-existing hole. That's, you know, it doesn't matter. So this is awesome. I've got the deflection on here. It's tight, but here's the thing. This is gonna loosen up. These belts are gonna wear out a little bit, and I would rather have this. If you look at that, let me show you. If I push, it's a little tight, yeah, but I tell you what, I'm super happy with that. Actually, you know what? I think it's perfect. Everything is perfect the way it looks, and I'll be able to just tap this pulley out just a little bit because this is in just a little. You can see it, and that'll cause like premature wear. Now I've got this marked out where you can see I'm gonna have to route my line. So I'll go ahead and take this off, cut this out, then I'll have to put everything back on, shorten this, but this is gonna go here. And then I'll put all the other like air breathers and things like that. There's like some brass fittings and those are right here. These guys, they go on there. And I've got the filters, they go on as well. And then I have to fill this thing with oil, and I have to wire it up too, but I'm not worried about that, that's easy. Just hoping that everything works and that this back feed valve works and the air switch still works and all that stuff. All right, let's continue with this. I gotta get this off of here and cut that plate. Won't be long now. Okay, I got that fired up, so then let me show you. I got my die grinder because I need to relieve this little spot right here. Right here in the corner, it's a little tight because the bolt is hitting right there and I had to smack it in. So I'm gonna go ahead and relieve right there so we have a better fit. Just letting that fill up with air. It's ready. Let's go. Okay, it didn't need a lot, and the compressor didn't kick on, so thank you, Jesus. Okay, next I'm gonna cut this, and then I think I'm done for the night, but I'll be back at it tomorrow. Let's cut this. Okay, I know I said I was done for the night, but check this out. I'm not done. I got this in here. Looks good. I cleaned up the threads, and when I had the threads not cleaned, it was, you know, torquing out right here. I really couldn't go any tighter. And now that I cleaned up the threads, it's like perfectly 90-degree right here. So it's gonna look much better. I'll wrap this in some Teflon as well, and go ahead and get my tubing flare kit and finish this off. I think tomorrow I should be able to finish this. Oh, let me show you something that I'm not real happy about. I was looking at the belt being a little crooked. If I want to fix this, I'd have to move the motor over. The pulley is kind of out a little far. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I've got these pretty much in line, but if you look here, I'm not liking this too much. See this? Maybe like a little more than 1/4 inch sticking out. But this is pretty big pulley, and the Allen keys are set way back here. So I think what I'll do is take the keyway, tap it in farther to slide over here, or just leave it. I'll figure it out. But anyway, to be honest with you, I don't think I'm too worried about it. I would rather have it set back this way, but I think I'd have to move the motor over now. I'm not moving that. That's where we're at. Now I'm done, and it's time for you know what. That's right. Coffee. What else? All right, see you tomorrow. Hello, we're back at it, and it's cruddy outside, and that's fine. We're inside working on this today, and we are going to be doing the tubing right over here. We're bending and cutting. Thank goodness we have this. This is a high quality Craftsman actually, and the one that comes in the tubing flare kit that I have, I actually have 2 of these. They're just junk, they're garbage. And this thing is awesome. A friend of mine loaned this to me like 3 years ago, and it kind of never made its way back to him, and I don't think he misses it because he has like 12 of them. So anyways, this is here, and thank goodness I have it, because I did try to cut a piece of test tubing with the garbage that it came with, and it sucked. So this stuff is gonna cut with that. Pretty awesome. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and try and mock this up. And as you can see from the other day here, yesterday I should say, I got this all ready. And now it's just a matter of getting this set. It has to be precise because there's no give to this. That's gonna be the hard part. I've never done something like this before. I'd like to get it in one shot, you know? I don't wanna be doing this all day. So I'm gonna bust out my flare kit, and let's get to it. So I've been thinking about, how am I gonna do this? I think what I'm gonna do is get like a piece of wire.
Yeah. So what I go ahead and do is I go ahead and explain to you how I'm gonna take a piece of wire, and I find a piece of wire, and it's actually a piece of welding wire, and I go ahead and mock it up, and I'm gonna spare you all the gory details about it. I'm just gonna go ahead and speed through it and show you. Here we go. Okay, here's the piece of wire, and I'm actually showing you how strong it is. Now I'm taking all the flux off with this hammer. Here we go. And this is sped up about 3 times the speed. It's wonderful, isn't it? Alright, now that that's done, I actually take it over to the bench grinder here and the wire wheel, and I take off all that extra flux, you know, just to make sure it's clean for some reason. And then I complain about flux getting in my eye. Here we go.
Okay, it's done. It's pretty hard to bend, but I got flux in my eye. It's great.
In case you were wondering, I was okay. Didn't have to go to the hospital. I was fine.
Okay, I got my wand, and here's what I've come up with.
Okay, the entire purpose of this little rod is to go ahead and mock up the shape of my tubing. rather than sacrificing the tubing. Just in case I make a mistake, this is what this is for. And I'm going to go ahead and transfer this shape over to the tubing, and I go ahead and make a long-winded explanation of this transfer, and here I go, and I go ahead and talk about it right here, but I go ahead and whip out the marker and go ahead and transfer all my points of origin or whatever the heck you want to say, but this is all sped up for you so you don't have to listen to me do that. So here it is. Done. Now, if you've never used one of these tubing cutters, it's pretty fun. It's kind of satisfying. But for anybody who does this sort of thing for a living, you might notice a little bit of a problem that I'm going to run into a little bit later in this video. If you think you've spotted the issue, comment down below. In case you're wondering, that blade there is just a clean out for any obstruction, any barbs. Cleans it up.
Okay, it's cut. It was a little hard to do with the camera in front of me like that, but I think it's gonna work. Check this out. If I hold it here, see that? It seems to be matching up perfectly right there. I think it'll be able to scoot over. I can bend it just a bit. I think this is gonna be perfect. All right, I'm gonna put the flares on it. One thing you gotta remember to do before you put your flares on, put these on. Don't forget. That would suck. All right, there we go. Our two fittings. That way, and hopefully this will go on. It might not.
And I was right, it didn't.
You think this is gonna stop me? It's not. It's not gonna stop me. I'm going to put my flare on this. Let me see here. Put the flare on. I gotta do this off camera. I'll be right back. Sometimes things just don't go the way you think they're gonna go. I just didn't think of that. But you gotta adapt and overcome. So I'm adapting and overcoming it. Look what I did. See this? So I'm gonna bend this. I'm gonna take this bend out of here so I can get this fitting on. Then I'm gonna have to screw this on and then swoop it up to here and then screw it on. What could possibly go wrong then? All right, let's do this. I messed it up. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Yes, I do. Look. See? I told you I had more of this stuff. I'm starting over. And it's just gonna be easier to mess with this piece. But it's just gonna be way easier to get this piece on and then just bend it. I don't know. We'll see. Or get that on first. Get this on first and then bend it. So, and put the flare on. Yeah, that's what I should have done. But hey, I have another piece, so that's what I'm gonna do right now.
4 to 6 weeks later.
Yeah, none of that worked. So this is what I did. First, coffee. Perfect. Check it out. This is way better. So that whole setup before just was not working. This is from another compressor that I had that broke down a long time ago that I took all the pieces off. See this tubing here? This here is from another one. I know the lighting is bad. Let me flip around. See the tubing here? The shroud around this cooling tube made it so that I was able to bend that without the pipe collapsing on itself. And the fittings were already on there, of course, and it was already flared. This was like pretty much the length I needed. Let's just put it this way. Everything worked out perfectly. And I think it's ready to rock and roll, with the exception of hooking up my electricity and hooking up these guys, which are over here. Come on, let me show you. All right, I've got everything here. show you, lay this out on the bench. So we've got our fittings and then a 90, and these are our air breathers, and they just screw on to each piston. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this stuff on now. Back to the compressor.
So I'll get these pieces laid out. Those look good. And I'll get these fittings test fit. And this is where I realize I have a problem. This piece here, this isn't what I need.
Okay, well, I've run into a problem. When they packaged these accessory pieces here, these fittings, they were supposed to put two 90s and not two T-fittings. Got one here, and two 90s should be here. So let's go over to my bag of tricks, and hopefully I'm gonna see if I have something that can maybe cap this end off for here. That's all I can do. I doubt I have something. Okay, this is from many years of having old compressors that were either given to me because they didn't work, or other compressors that failed on me. And I didn't directly just throw them out. I actually stripped them and took all the pieces off of them and kept them. So let's see if I got something in here that can cap one of these ends off. I don't think that I do. But let's see. And if I don't have anything here, I do have another stockpile. But there's a 90 right there, but it's not the same fitting there. Wait a minute. Get out of town. Look at this. That looks like what I actually need if that thread is right. Holy cow, let's go check that. This is that. And look, it's the exact same one. Let's take this out. It's slightly different. This thread is just a little bit longer. But I mean, the threads are, let's see if the thread's in. Yes! And all it needs to do is thread onto this. Yes! It's time for a celebration. Crisis averted or diverted. Like I said, you never come here for proper English. You just come here for great coffee. All right, clean as you go. I'm gonna put all this stuff back and then finish. Okay, everything is pretty much hooked up, except what I have to do is fill this with oil before I start it, but it's not gonna run without 220 overhead. Let me show you what I got going on. So when I rewired the garage, I kept my 220, it's off, and here it is here running up, and boom, Nothing running over there. But guess what? Yeah, I got some wire, and I'm pretty sure I got a junction box in the other building over there, so I'll be able to unionize it. Yeah, marriage it, you know what I'm saying. And then run it down over here, and then hook some electricity up to it. But I think I'm gonna have to run to the store to get some compressor oil, because I don't think I might have some. I'm gonna have to look. And then that's it. I need to test it and hope that it works, and that the proportion valve shuts everything down and it doesn't backfeed and explode. Okay?
Several months later.
Well, here we are. I just have to get a plate for that one, and I forgot that I didn't get one for that. But I got it running all the way over here. Let's check it out. And I can see the black mold. Go check out my video called Killer Ants, 6 cans of brake clean. Check it out. Anyway, that will explain all the black mold. And they didn't come back. Anyway, we got the 220 running down. Oh, by the way, this stuff is just, it's like trying to bend metal. It is so rigid, super unforgiving. Anyway, I got plenty of it. So now I'm gonna scoot the compressor over there all by my lonesome.
"75 years later."
I've been hard at work, and been doing a lot of stuff off camera. I had a bad breaker. I'll be honest with you, I cheated. I hit the breaker, wanted to see if at least, without oil in the pump, at least if it kicked on and I was gonna shut it off real quick. Well, nothing happened. So I took out my meter. One leg was 120. The other side was like reading like 30, and it should be 120. So I had a bad breaker. Switched out the breaker, flicked the switch, and boom, it lit up and worked. Shut it off real quick because there was no oil in the pump. So I went to Advance. I got this stuff. This is Valvoline. It's their SA30 weight non-detergent oil. That's what I'm running in my compressor pump. Did a lot of research on what I should be putting in this thing, and you got to run non-detergent oil. And it's because it will mess with the valves if you run detergent, which is just regular 10W30. You could run 10W30, but it has to be non-detergent. Make sure, okay? Anyway, that's what I got, and this was $10. So it has to be non-synthetic. So anyway, I just did a lot of research on what you could run in your pump, and that's what I've come up with. So now the moment of truth. I'm gonna hit this, it's gonna turn on, and we're gonna build up some pressure, and I just hope it turns off and there's no leaks. So here we go. Breaker on. All right, compressor on. All right, I shut it off for a second because I wanted to show you on the tank what it says. 135 PSI max. So we don't want this right here to go over 135 PSI. If it does, we got to shut it down. This side is for, see how it's got the regulator on it? This is the regulated side. So this is the side we're looking at. Yeah, we don't want this to creep over that. So that's what we're looking at. Here we go. got a slow leak on none of the stuff that I did. It's on this regulator side, and it looks like it's never been wrapped with any tape, so, but also it didn't shut off, and that could be done with the pressure switch. So I'm gonna have to take the cap back off. That's easily adjusted with 2 screws, so I'm gonna have to mess with that. Okay, I got the breaker shut off. These right here are what indicates the pressure on and off. I'm gonna figure out which ones, but see these here? They dictate the spring tension on turning on the compressor on and off. Now, the leak stopped at 125 PSI. That is what I want this to shut off at. Probably 75 I want it to turn on. So that's what I gotta figure out. On at 75 and off at 125. I don't want it more than 125, even though it says max 135. So I'm gonna have to figure all this out, and you do that by tightening and loosening, and it looks like, see the orange spray on here? It looks like this might have been messed with, so that's why it wasn't shutting down. All right, I'm gonna have to figure this out. Okay, I'm getting things figured out here. This one, I believe.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and speed this up for you. I think I have this pressure switch dialed in just right. I did spend probably a good 40 minutes getting this thing dialed in. Now, how do I know if it's perfect or not? Well, here's how I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna go ahead and hook this hose up to it and release all the air, but I do find out that it's actually taking a really, really long time. And then I remember, oh, actually there's this release valve right here. It's a safety valve, and that helps release a lot of air all at once. So I'm gonna go ahead and release that, and boom, the compressor kicks on at 75 PSI, just when I want it to.
Okay, kick back on. See when it turns off.
Okay, so far so good. Seems to be building pressure. Let's see what happens.
Yes! First, let me apologize about the lighting. When you have a camera that's right next to the sun and a dark spot, it just doesn't really work out all that great. But I'm just super, super happy, because that means I can get on with painting, and I really want to be done with this box. It shut off when it was supposed to. It kicked on when it was supposed to. I do notice that now it's like overfilled with oil. I don't know why. Usually it, like, once everything works around and everything, they become underfilled. I did go over the sight glass. There's like a red circle, just a little bit higher, because I thought, well, it's gonna, work its way around in some of the areas, but it's actually overfilled, which is odd to me, but nonetheless, I'm gonna have to take some out, which is fine. Everything's working great. There's no leak, no nothing on this. Thanks again for sticking around. Oh, if you do not subscribe, this bug will land on your face and crawl on your face in the middle of the night while you're sleeping. So make sure to hit that like, subscribe, come back to see about this bed, I'm gonna be putting it on my 2005 Dodge Dakota. But before I do that, obviously I gotta paint it. So stick around for that. I gotta prime it. Right now, this is just a, primer sealer that I put on it, so, everything can stick to it. But yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for sticking around for this one, for this compressor build. All right, see you on the next one. Bye.